Hello, this is Mrs. Mills, your instructor for English 111, and I wanted to take a little time to explain and go over the components for the compare-contrast essay and the module for compare-contrast in itself. All right, so if you look at your assignment calendar, all right, the week is looking like the past 2 weeks, so it's the same concept. You're going to have a comparison contrast quiz. And when we say comparison contrast, it's the same as compare contrast, so same thing. All right, you're going to have a compare contrast quiz, so make sure that you read and study all of those indicated materials in the textbook. There's some really, really great essays for compare contrast, so make sure that you read and study those items for the quiz. You have your planning assignment, just like you've done before. You have another grammar quiz. You have your peer review forum and, submission for the final assignment, okay? So again, the module and the week looks exactly the same. So we're kind of in a rhythm, all right? But I wanted to take time and talk to you about comparison contrast in itself. So what comparison and contrast does is it obviously compares and contrasts items, objects, maybe emotions, maybe perceptions, maybe critiques. So you can compare and contrast a lot of different items. All right, so remember to check the no list when you're generating a paper topic. Now, also, please read the rubric associated with compare contrast. We've done a couple different graphic organizers. For instance, we've done the tree map for classification writing. We've done the flow map for narrative writing. And the graphic organizer of choice for this module is going to be a Venn diagram. So let me show you this, okay? All right. I'm sure most of you have seen this before. There we go. This is called a Venn diagram, V-E-N-N, all right? So the organizer is 2 circles, and they overlap each other. On the outskirts, you're going to contrast the 2 items, objects, subjects, whatever you're comparing and contrasting, okay? Then in the middle, in the overlap here, you're going to compare the items, the people, the subjects, whatever. So for example, you're going to read Grant and Lee in the textbook, and those were obviously the Civil War, generals, General Lee, General Robert E. Lee, and General Ulysses S. Grant. So that piece compares and contrasts Grant versus Lee. So if you make a Venn diagram and read the piece, you can put items for contrast, showing the differences between the 2 gentlemen, and then you can compare, finding items, similarities between the 2 gentlemen. So again, you're going to use this Venn diagram to compare and contrast. Now, a Venn diagram has to be submitted with your final elements, so you can handwrite this and put all the nice details and then scan it and give it to me as a PDF, or you can use Word and find the shapes and all that good stuff. Those features in Microsoft Word. All right, so you're using a Venn diagram for compare contrast. All right. You can also Google this Venn diagram and take a look at different items that are compared and contrasted, finding the differences. Remember, contrast, finding the differences, similarities, you're comparing, okay? Now, let me show you something else that I want to go over. For this essay, I'm going to write a couple more things down here, all right? This compare-contrast essay, let me grab a marker. All right, get a marker here. I want you to organize your compare and contrast subjects by theme, okay? So let me write this down. So, themes. I want you to find common themes, common elements for your subject, and then you're going to organize your essay by themes, okay? So You can look up some outline formats. You can do a compare section up at the front, and then at the end of the outline or the end of the essay, your outlines mimic your essay. You can compare the two items, and then you can contrast the two items. So you can do, sections, comparison section, contrast section, and all the themes in between. Or you can mix and match. You can compare, contrast, compare, contrast, compare, contrast. You can kind of mix it up. So you have two formatting choices. Let me say that again. So let's say that you're comparing two cars. You're not going to compare two cars because that's on the no list. But let's say, for example's sake, you're going to compare and contrast two different cars. Maybe it's your high school car versus the car you bought when you were in your 30s. I don't know. But again, that's on the no list. You can't do it. So that's why I'm going to use it as this example. Okay? So, what kind of themes could you use in conjunction with the subject of comparing and contrasting two cars? Well, let me write this down. You can talk about the car's appearance, the differences in appearance versus the similarities in appearance. How does the car look? Colors, models, makes, gadgets, size, stuff like that. Another theme dealing with the subject of cars, performance. You can talk about car A, its performance, versus car B, its performance. Okay? Then you would elaborate and talk about different makes and models and what makes a car have a effective, performance, standard. Another theme, perhaps you can talk about the reliability of both cars, how they're similar and how they're different. That's another theme. And I'll give you one more right here at the bottom. Maybe a theme could be price. You can compare and contrast the different price ranges and how it affects, budgeting within the family, or your salary versus the price, whatever elaboration that you want to do. So you're going to pick a theme, and again, you're going to pick a subject, and you can compare and contrast a lot of different items like I was talking about. You can compare and contrast two people, like Grant versus Lee. You can compare and contrast objects, items, emotions, critiques, It's up to you. Again, check the no list. You're not going to do cars because that's on the no list. You're going to do your Venn diagram, similarities and differences, and then you're going to generate themes. How can you organize your paper according to themes? Okay? Now, again, these are some examples. Let's go back to the organization. The way you set your paper up, like I was talking about earlier, you can set up your paper with a compare section and then a contrast section with all your themes in between. Or you can kind of mix it up. You can compare, contrast, compare, contrast, compare, contrast, compare, contrast. So your textbook has some examples on that, and the readings that you're going to do kind of show you some formatting as well. Obviously, you can Google and Bing and look at some different options, on the internet. But again, when you're on the internet, just be aware, because as you know, the internet is like fire. It can help you or it can harm you. So watch out for, two examples that are too simplistic, or examples that might not be relevant to what we're doing here in class. Okay? So again, subject, pick something to compare and contrast. Generate themes, generate some rough information, do your Venn diagram, and proceed to organize everything according to the subject and how it's going to flow for your essay. All right. Please write this essay in third person only. Please remember that third person is he, she, and or it. Okay. No I, no you. Please remember that we and our are first person plural. They're not third person. So if you need to go back, you have your everyday writer to look up the different sections of first person, second person, third person. Please write this essay in third person. Avoid first and second person, okay? Please read the rubric, read all the requirements, go back to your last essays, read my corrections, read my grading comments, look what's on the essay, look what's on the rubric, and aim to mend your mistakes, okay? I know this is a fast class. It's 8 weeks. It's super fast. It's fast to me, just as it's fast to you, all right? So please manage your time wisely. Make sure you read and study everything. And if you have any questions, no problem. Let me know. You guys have a great day.